Corey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. We're a couple days removed from the announcement of bowl game. I haven't even talked about it because the portal window, the next everything is so weird. It's like we have everything is combined now. We have to have signing day and championship week and bowl announcements plus the portal opening, and not to mention you have head coaching vacancies. You got Bill Belichick now maybe going to North Carolina. It's just a lot of stuff happening all at once, and it's not great for business, but I guess maybe some of the national shows, it's great for you. You always have big shows to do. I'm sure you've
It
had fun.
is, and we basically determined, Leanne Herring and myself, we started a recruiting show that we were going to do once a week, and in fact, we decided to do it every day, at least during the transfer portal window, because there's just so much to talk about. So yeah, there is quite a bit to talk about. Concerning the Hawkeyes, we'll go to the personnel route because I know that's what everybody's interested in. Even though I will look forward to watching a Music City Bowl with Iowa from the Big Ten, Missouri from the SEC, and those are always marquee matchups to me in regards to the conferences they represent, if nothing else. And of course, as we get closer to game time, we're going to have a better look at each team and who's actually coming to play, and which varies team to team. But Logan Jones, of course, as you outlined on your channel, coming back for a sixth season, a center who, of course, among with a number of guys, were largely responsible for this team leading the Big Ten in rushing, 38 starts, definitely a huge, and this part of the theme of this time of year as well, not just who you can go out and acquire through National Signing Day and through the transfer portal, but who you retain can be key to success the next season.
Yeah, and Iowa didn't really have a ton of, with the COVID thing being basically a thing of the past. It's funny because I said it was a thing of the past, and I thought it was a thing of the past, but then Logan's coming back for a sixth year, and he was here in 2020. Well, the reason is, well, actually, I don't really know the official reason. I'll just be quite honest. It doesn't really matter. He's coming back. He played in 2020,
Yeah.
but then also only played 2 games in 21. So I'm assuming the way that works with the NCAA is they say it's a free year in 2020. So then he's also able to redshirt, even though he redshirted and didn't play in 20. It's a free year, doesn't count. He was able to redshirt in 21 because he had an injury, right?
Yes, exactly.
And so I guess I probably should have known that. Let me get my light on here so it's a little better.
So, in a sense, was he a freshman in 21 and a redshirt freshman in 22, a sophomore in 23, a junior in 24, and a redshirt senior in 25?
I guess theoretically, yeah, if 2020 doesn't count, then he was actually
Yeah.
a redshirt freshman in 22. Yeah. Yeah, 22. So I didn't really think about him returning. I know I know the guys that I expect to return. I have been given no indication that any of those guys are going to hop to the league. So like Jennings Dunker, expect him to come back. I don't imagine that there's any draft stock really for Bo Stevens to explore the NFL draft early. So it would be Logan Jones was the guy that he and Aaron Graves on the other side. That if you're going to talk about anybody that could have jumped to the league this year, we haven't gotten an announcement yet from Aaron Graves, but I would think he comes back. And I really don't know who else would leave early for the draft. I think all the guys that are high on the draft boards are guys that came back last year for an extra season. And therein lies the frustration with the results of this season because they brought so many guys back. But less of those decisions this year. But I was actually mildly surprised because I just hadn't really asked and I hadn't really heard a whole lot about speculation regarding Logan. But they need that. They need some stability there, and that will help. I don't know how much it'll help their search for a quarterback, but it doesn't hurt having a sixth-year signal caller there. Now, I did talk about this on the video I just published here moments ago on my channel. You're likely going to see some attrition because of this decision, and whether it's admitted or not. They've got, I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys who I look at as centers on the roster. 2 of those guys, they have 1 year left of eligibility. So unless the guy just wants to stick around and play, maybe compete for that other guard spot, a guard spot that's up for grabs, maybe. But I'm guessing they're going to lose one of those guys. Josh Janowski's a freshman this year. No reason to think this will affect his decision. It impacts him, and maybe it'll actually be good for a young guy like that who came in early last spring. He'll get another year to learn behind Logan Jones. Leighton Jones is going into year 3. He'll be a redshirt sophomore. Still a couple of years for him. So I wouldn't think this will impact his decision, although he's not an Iowa kid like some of these guys on the list are. Jeremy Chaplin is a preferred walk-on. We've seen a whole slew of walk-ons enter here over the last couple of days because everybody's got to get their rosters down to 105. So, I've always said I hate to speculate about who may enter the portal, but we're kind of to the point where does it really matter? Because so many guys hit the portal. I don't think it's disrespectful to say, hey, this guy may enter the portal. I could see him leaving. So Jeremy Chaplin, I could see him leaving. And then Michael Myslinski, it was brought up. JT just brought him up here in the chat a second ago. He doesn't have to enter in response to JT's comment. Again, if Michael thinks he might be able to compete at a guard spot, the problem with him, he's very similar to Jeff Bowie, who is a defensive lineman who just entered, talked about it yesterday on the channel. He was a scholarship guy. Myslinski's a scholarship guy as well. He's from Florida. He's got 1 year left. He's been ransacked by injuries. Have hardly seen him in an Iowa uniform. Maybe he wants a fresh start for year 5. And his old teammate, James Rezar from Florida, is now in the portal as well. And then Cade Borad transferred in from North Dakota during the offseason. He got that OWI, but he was an all Missouri Valley Conference newcomer of the year a couple seasons ago for the Fighting Hawks. He is a redshirt sophomore, so he would have another year after Logan Jones leaves to potentially start. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I would say in order of guys to look for as it relates to decisions would be Michael Myslinski at the top, especially given the fact that he's a scholarship guy. Jeremy Chaplin would be right there. And you say, well, who cares about walk-ons? Well, walk-ons play, especially on the offensive line at Iowa. They play, and Chaplin has played sparingly here and there. So he'd be another guy to look for. And then I think after that, Cade Borad. Cade Pieper, he can place center, it sounds like, but I think they've used him a couple different places. He's still young. He was in year 2. He's flexible. And, if he somehow sustained an injury, he's got I think he's got a redshirt year to use as well. So, but my guess is this will affect Iowa positively, and you may lose a guy that, again, Michael Myslinski and Jeremy Chaplin, they're not going to have a role other than providing depth if they return.